everybody, welcome back to Airconic TV Gaming with another episode of Storied Sorties. This is episode 4. In the previous episode, we talked about a little bit more about the C-130 itself, talked about its history, it's how it got its start from an article off of Popular Mechanics. And we also talked about and where we left off with that, is with the story about it as an MC-130 dropping a Moab, mother of all bombs, in Afghanistan. And then we finished, the last thing we read before we finished the build, well, at least as much as I wanted to do in the build that day, was the part where compared to the C-130 and the F-35, Lockheed Martin's F-35, the C-130s had just a 110-page document, and the F-35 has a 2,500-page proposal, and the write-up for the C-130 is breezy. We're going to continue into the development of the C-130 in today's video, which is going to be fitting because we're going to be continuing the build of the kit. One of the things we're going to do, as you can see, I went ahead and got the parts separated so it can hopefully encourage the build process to go a little smoother. Clean this a little better. There's dog hair everywhere. So we got the bottom wing pieces, one of the top wing pieces. In fact, I still got to cut out the other top wing piece. And then we will go on to assembling them. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and paint right in here just to get rid of that light gray. I know it doesn't matter too much because there's no detail inside the cockpit, but it would make me feel better if I painted that, because the window is clear so you can see right into it. So give me one quick second. I'm going to lean down and pick up the parts kit for the model and the parts for the model, so that way I can continue separating the parts I need. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint the cockpit, and I'll tell you a little more about me while I do that. And after I'm done painting and we have that dry, we'll assemble the wings and the exhausts, which is what these are, together. And I will talk more about the C-130 itself. So give me one second. Got the instruction manual and the parts all in the same box. So we're going to go ahead and start separating the final wing piece, which I should have done before I started the video, but I forgot to cut it and didn't realize it. So we're going to go ahead, cut that out. Being careful because I've already cut pieces that I wasn't supposed to cut because I wasn't paying attention. I'm trying to keep it all on camera, which is definitely a bit of a struggle because I want to keep it close to myself to make sure I'm cutting properly, as close to the part as possible without cutting the actual part. Okay, there we go. So we got the wing out. Hopefully by the end of this video we'll actually get the wings assembled. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead, and I didn't bother sand or prime in here as I should have. But I'm not going to be I'm not too concerned about the inside, at least in this area. I'm just going to paint it for my own gratification of completing. I'm actually very brave doing this without anything on my mouse pad, or stupid, whatever you guys choose to say, think I'm doing. But anyway, a little bit more about me. I believe the last thing I talked about was my time in Iraq. That's the only time I've had any operational interaction with a C-130 myself, aside from monitoring what they call MICAPs, high priority parts, or mission capable parts, for the C-130 when I worked for the maintenance group as MSL. I just realized I probably should have painted in here first. So physically, that's my only physical interaction with the C-130, is when I flew into Iraq. I mean, I've walked in and out of them during air shows and stuff, but that is about it. This is actually not going well at all. I should have probably painted the inside of this thing before assembling it, but it's okay. I guess this is all part of the series, learning how to properly build a model kit. This is painful for me to do. This is very painful. And this is probably also unnecessary. I didn't need to go I probably didn't need to get that into it. And that's about my experience with the C-130. But I've been around them for a while. They've been almost at every single base I've been to so far, one way or another, either because they're stationed there, deployed there, or that is they're there. That, like in this case, the base I'm currently at, they're here for being repaired and even modified and upgraded as needed, because this is an old aircraft and it does the job very well. So the Pentagon and the government is not in a hurry to having these things replaced. So what they usually do, and a lot of taxpayers, no offense to any of you out there, get the impression that we waste a lot of money by buying new aircraft and equipment. But if you really get down to it, it's like, think of it this way. It's like when you own an older vehicle and it runs great but if it becomes so old where you're constantly having to build or repair, upgrade, and improve the vehicle, you're spending a lot of money in the long run doing all that. So you waste a lot of money on the maintenance of the vehicle itself. And it's the same case with the aircraft. It eventually gets to the point where you're putting so much money to keep that thing running, even it's not even running at top performance, just running at the bare minimum, that it's almost pointless to keep in the vehicle. It'd be cheaper to buy a newish car, maybe not exactly a new car, but maybe one that's been pre-owned, maybe 2 or 3 years older than the current models that are out. So that is kind of like the same aspect of the aircraft. Now, the only issue is, like with the case with the F-35 and the F-22, they came out of the door with issues. So we wasted a lot of money getting up to specs because Lockheed took too many. I don't know if they took shortcuts or they didn't take time to actually properly develop and maintain the aircraft, but there is a lot of money in that part, but there's also a lot of money in keeping aircraft that are too old. It is economical or more responsible to keep older aircraft. I'll admit that to a certain point, but eventually they get to the end of life stage where we're putting more money to upgrade and maintain these aircraft than we would if we just had a whole new aircraft built. But it is what it is. Maybe, again, I'm not an expert on these things. I don't purchase aircraft or military equipment for the government. I just maintain and supply the parts needed to keep them going. So maybe I don't know everything. But before I start assembling the wings, enough about that. We're going ahead and continue doing a read-up on these C-130. But the part we left off, they say, according to Lockheed Martin historian Jeff Rhodes, Hawkins' design team took the M551 Sheridan tank, the largest piece of equipment the Army needed to airlift, and drew a circle around it that set the diameter of the fuselage. As for the fuselage's 40-foot length, its inspiration came from somewhere else entirely. The basic C-130 aft of the cockpit and before the ramp is the length of the railroad boxcar, Rhodes says. The YC-130 made its first flight on August 23rd, 1954 at Lockheed's Burbank, California plant, where 4 Allison T-56A1A turboprop engines delivering 3,700 horsepower, over 3,700 horsepower each, and driving a 3-bladed Curtiss-Wright electric reversible propellers, the YC-130 took off in only 800 feet. The Pentagon had found its plane. And I mean, maybe you guys, I don't know enough about aviation to understand how incredible that is. But if you really think about it, an aircraft this size taking off from an 800-foot runway is incredible. Especially, I don't know if they didn't mention if it was loaded or not. Maybe they didn't. So I'm sure the Pentagon was completely amazed to see that. And they're like, yes, this is exactly what we need. We need something just like this to meet our capabilities and be able to lift off at little to no runways. Basically, runways are meant for smaller aircraft, and I'm sure they were super thrilled when they were able to see this happening. I'm just looking at these exhaust parts, and I'm a little concerned about how difficult this may be to put this together. I'm gonna go ahead and clear this out of the way real quick and put down a paper towel so I'm not getting glue or anything else for that matter onto my mouse pad. Again, this is probably not the smartest thing to do. I need to get some shop towels. It'd be better for this. It's probably not the best thing to do with a gaming setup that it costs not a lot of money, but more money than I care to ruin or waste. So, okay, we got the paper towel down like that. Go ahead and get these wing pieces together. We don't lose the exhaust. So this is the bottom portion of the wing. The engines are going to attach right in here. The exhausts, these tiny itty bitty pieces right here, are going to go into these spots over in here, right in there. Excuse me. And then these two pieces, well, actually, I'm going to probably put the two wing pieces together, at least on this set. And if I find it being way too difficult to put the smaller pieces on after I put the wing pieces together, we'll, on the opposite side, do it in reverse order of what I'm doing now. Ooh, this is giving me a pain in the butt. Seeing how this all is going to fit. Okay, well, I'm going to have to be careful. So we'll go ahead, take the plunge, start gluing this thing together. Glue, a nice coating of glue. I do not have steady hands. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm being very, very shaky. Could be because I'm also very hungry. That's probably not helping at all. Probably need to get a lapel mic to do this because it's hard to make sure I'm talking into the mic while watching what I'm doing. And I don't know if you guys prefer the Logitech camera footage or the GoPro camera footage, but I'm sorry if you prefer the GoPro footage. It is a little difficult for me to record with the GoPro because I'm left-handed, so my left hand is blocking a lot of the detail. So I think for future videos it's going to be very reliant on the Logitech footage to make sure I'm capturing everything I'm doing. I'm probably using way too much glue for this, but I already had a piece I thought was glued on pretty well pop off, and I really don't want to deal with that again. So but anyway, but yeah, ever since I've joined the Air Force, I've been super impressed with the C-130. It's like I said, it's an ugly looking plane, but I think it looks so cool. And I know people are like, it's just a cargo plane. Why are you getting so excited about it? I mean, think about it. As we dig into it, you're going to see all the different capabilities of the C-130. I think I could be wrong. I think it's one of the most versatile aircraft in the military because of everything it can do, and it's been used for. It's been used for rescue missions. It's been used for airdrops. It's been used for airdrops resupplies. It's been used for bare-base resupplies, landing on incomplete airfields that are barely long enough for a fighter jet to take off of. And it's been used for hurricane chasing, Coast Guard rescue missions. It's been used as a gunship platform. It's just, how many aircraft in the military has that kind of capability and still be able and be as old as it is? I know it's getting upgrades and the technology is improving on the aircraft itself, but I mean, it compared to like the F-22 and F-35, it's old. It's archaic, but it's still one of our most relied on cargo planes. I mean, the C-5 and C-17 do hold their own in their own way, and obviously they can carry a lot more. So there's a disadvantage for the C-130 in the sense that they can't carry as much as those two airframes. But I still think, other than the fact that it's limited cargo load, it still carries a lot for its size and power. It outperforms the C-17 and C-5 any day of the week. And maybe I'm being biased. Maybe I'm ill-informed and not completely educated in that sense that the C-5 and C-17 probably, there's maybe a lot more I can do. Other than the C-5 being an amazingly large aircraft and seeing that thing be able to defy the laws of gravity, I'm not that overall impressed with it. To me, it doesn't look that great. It is not that impressive as far as performance-wise, other than the fact that, yes, it's a very large aircraft that can carry a lot of cargo and still defy the laws of gravity. And the C-17 is along the same lines. Now, I got a friend of mine that's a loadmaster on the C-17, and he probably would say it's blasphemy that I'm talking so poorly about the C-17. But you know what? This is my video. This is my preferred aircraft. If I was going to be a loadmaster, it'd be on the C-130. That's just me. He's more educated in the benefits of being a loadmaster in a C-17, so there's probably some other benefits other than it's a cool aircraft as to why he chose the C-17 over any other airframe. So, and it could be just because the locations he gets stationed at, being a loadmaster in a C-17, that he cannot get stationed at as a C-130 loadmaster. Because I know he's trying to stay East Coast, and granted, that should be, I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I haven't really paid attention to all the bases that C-130s, the cargo versions of the C-130s get stationed at. So, and what he it's possible, like on the Pararescue C-130s at Kadena, he may be able to get stationed at the Kadena Air Base. Well, if he went C-130, but he went C-17. If he got stationed at Kadena, if he would be able to work on those aircraft, but I don't know. And he may not even want to go overseas for all I know. It sounds like he wants to stay locally. But all right, we got that wing put together. It's looking pretty good. Whoops, way out of camera. Pretty. It did. It went better than I thought it did. Hopefully, I got enough glue on there so it's not gonna fall apart on me. We're gonna get ready to do the exhaust pieces, but one of the things I failed to do is get my tweezers out. I got my X-Acto knife and my snips, but they don't have this, the tweezers. The engines are still in there, so maybe we can even get the engines installed today. So I'm going to install these exhausts, and then we're going to go ahead and talk a little more about the Popular Mechanics article on the C-130, and then proceed to put this thing together. Oops. So, first we're going to see how this fits. How is it okay, I mean, I figured that's how it's going to go in. Not going to like this at all. I am definitely not going to like this at all. I think that's going to be the best way to put this in here. How far is this supposed to go in? They don't really show. Yes, like that. That was a huge gap, though. So we'll go ahead. While I hold this, I'll see how talented I can, or how skilled I am with this. Go ahead and put the glue on the wing portion. Much there. Like that, and then put the glue on the exhaust itself. Interesting, trying to switch hands because my left hand's gonna be more suited for putting this thing on. And we're gonna take, and I didn't want to drop the part now that it's got glue on it. Nope. About right there, I guess, and we'll just hold it for a few seconds. Let's see if I can read a little more. Alright, the next section of this article says whatever is needed. Gotta make sure I pay attention to this. Can I let go? Sweet. Okay. Now, while that dries, because I don't want to accidentally knock it out of place. And let me make sure it's actually in there. Yeah, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. What do you guys think? How's that look? That's what, oops. That's what it used to look like. That's what it looks like now. The only thing I don't like about the Logitech camera, it has a hard time focusing. Like it now, they said the production of the C-130A began at Lockheed's plant in Marietta, Georgia. That's not far from here. Soon thereafter, that's probably why the depot's down here. I think actually I knew that already. Yeah, I did. Anyway, Soon thereafter, and the Herc has been rolling off the assembly line ever since. The Hercules has the longest continuous military aircraft production run in history, and one of the top 3 longest continuous aircraft production lines of any type. A remarkable 70 countries operate C-130s, which have been produced in more than 70 different variants. Yeah, that's like a testament to what's so amazing about this aircraft, is that it's such an impressive aircraft for what it's supposed to do, and so many countries want it. The tip of that's bent, and that one's broken. So many countries wanted it, and there's so many different variants for different mission needs and requirements. It might be because the country has a specialized mission that, yeah, they need a cargo plane, but they needed to be more specialized as a cargo plane than just a generic cargo plane to pick up and move their cargo around the world, or even airdrop the cargo. And it could be because they need the fuselage slightly bigger, stronger engines, or they can't afford the engine, so they need a different style of engine, things like that. And it's been a part of the American arsenal for so long too, the longest ever produced aircraft. I do believe, I mean, I don't think it's the oldest aircraft in our fleet, but what they're saying is it's still being manufactured, and it's the oldest aircraft to be continuously manufactured like that. Oh, I'm so shaky. I am so incredibly shaky. That's probably what I did wrong. Look at that. Now this is going to look better because I learned. Except it's crook turned. Oop. There we go. Gotta straighten that out a little bit. Okay. Can I fix this? There we go. Not too shabby. I've closed that gap. Got the exhaust. It looks like this one sticks out a little further than the other one. This one right here. It's probably going to bother me. We're going to go ahead and put a little more glue right in here. And then grab this thing. Oh no. Okay, so we're going to have to re-glue this whole thing. I guess it didn't set completely. This is interesting. I'm doing this right-handed. It's not my best hand, though. It seems to be less shaky than my left hand. Okay, I think I did. Crap. Got some glue right there. I'm going to have to clean that up before I paint this thing. Okay, there we go. Keep it straight and centered. There. That's better. Okay, we just let that dry real quick. Set that to the side. That goes to the sticky spot right there. Goes right there with the X-Acto knife. All right, so we'll go ahead and read a little bit more. Do a little bit more reading before I start doing the other side of the wing. I'm pretty excited about finally getting these wings installed. I've got the exhaust over here. I'm gonna have to clean these pieces up a little bit. The C-130 is whatever is needed. Rhodes observes. It is an ambulance. It is a gunship. It drops paratroopers. It carries cargo. It's a TV broadcast system. I did not know that. That's kind of cool. I think I'm going to have to look that up. If we got time in this video, I'll look it up. If not, I'll save it for the next video. I didn't know it could do that. Well, it's not surprising. There's broadcast trucks all the time. But anyway, it's launched drones and caught satellites. You name it, the Hercules has done it at some point in its career. The Herker has served in the U.S. Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, NASA, and foreign militaries and commercial operators as the L-100 all over the world. It's been an aerial refueler, forward air controller, hurricane hunter, fire tanker. I forgot about that. Yeah, it fight fires in places like California. It's done Antarctic resupply aircraft, search and rescue platform, and on and on and on. I think you guys are getting the point. If you guys aren't understand why I'm so impressed and I'm in love with this aircraft, hopefully this kind of opens up your eyes to it. This thing can do anything, and I'm sure, like, if we want to put the time and money, the C-17 and C-130, C-5 can as well. But I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it would be practical. The C-130's got it held down. The C-130s went into harm's way almost immediately with the first deployment to Europe in 1956, and the first combat loss came in 1958 when a C-130A-2 was shot down over America during a reconnaissance mission. Armenia. Shot down over Armenia, not shot down over America. While gaining notoriety for its performance ashore, the Hercules simultaneously made history as the largest, heaviest aircraft ever to land and launch from an aircraft carrier. I did not know that either. I learned something new with you guys. A distinction it earned in October 1963 as part of a test to assess its feasibility as a carrier onboard delivery aircraft. A year later, the C-130A began sorties for the U.S. Air Force in Vietnam. They hauled cargo, dropped leaflets, and delivered weapons on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Foreshadowing President Trump's recent Afghanistan mission, the C-130Bs also dropped a pair of 10,000-pound bombs in Vietnam in October in 1968 as means of clearing landing zones for helicopters. They got a pretty cool picture of like a blast zone where the trees are just, the center's bare and the trees are just knocked over towards the center. I'll have to share that when I post this video. But the C-130 was more than a military brute. It was one of the legendary Lockheed airplanes operated by the CIA in 1960s, joining the U-2 and A-12 SR-71. As an intelligence gathering tool in 1969, the CIA operated C-130E made a clandestine drop of sensor pallets near China's Lopner nuclear weapons Lopner, I'm probably saying that completely wrong, nuclear weapons test base to get information on Chinese nuclear capabilities. C-130B-2 electronic reconnaissance aircraft operated in Europe and Japan, and later C-130E models took standoff jamming roles in 1970. Like, look at that. It's reconnaissance, it's a jamming platform, it's a broadcast platform. I mean, why can't you love this aircraft? It's especially they got a picture in this article of the gunship platform and doing the Angel of Death or the Archangel, whatever you want to call it. People call it the different names. And it's just a beautiful looking plane. Let's go ahead and get these pieces ready for gluing and keep going on with this video. We're getting the other wing side. My goal in this video is at least to put the main wings on. Maybe we'll even put the secondary wings on before we end this video. We'll just see how we're doing with time. Hopefully I'm not getting too excited and distracted with the articles that I'm reading, learning more and more, learning stuff about the C-130 I didn't know, and just getting excited about the things I already did know. I mean, you'd call me a fanboy. I just love this airplane. And I know, again, it's one of the most boring aircraft to probably start off as far as looks and impressiveness to some people. Start a video series on. But again, the reason why I did this is because it's the first aircraft I fully supported in my military career. So I figured it'd be a great aircraft to do a video series, to start a brand new video series on about airplanes and history and my career. I know War Thunder doesn't have this aircraft, at least officially. I know there's been mods done to the gunship variant, which actually, now I'm thinking about it, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll download that mod and use that as background footage. I mean, I won't be going up against players, so it won't be like a test of skill or anything, but it'd probably be kind of cool. At least one of the video clips be of a C-130 gunship just laying waste. I know I can do like older Call of Duties where you can take control of the guns of the C-130, or Battlefield where the commander can call in a C-130, people can spawn in, but I'm not playing those games just to get C-130 footage. Or maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. With that being said, this game, despite how boring this aircraft may be to some people, this thing, and some of you may not have realized, has been in many video games. Not the cargo variant it's been, like I said, the gunship variant, which is probably more popular amongst people with good reason. I mean, it's so cool. I got the opportunity to be inside a gunship at one point, and I was so excited. And honestly, I was thinking about becoming a aerial gunner. It's called Special Missions Aviator now, for those of you who want to join the Air Force and maybe that's what you're looking to do. And one of the platforms is the C-130 gunship, along with the can't remember the name of the helicopters. You can do the Black Hawk, you can do the Osprey, CV-22 Osprey, you can do I think it's called the Stallion or Super Stallion, Nighthawk, I think. Nope, the Nighthawk I think is the F-117A. Oh my word, I can't get my hands to stabilize. I sure have probably ate before I did this. Now I'm like panicking trying to get this piece on before the glue dries. I think it's too late. It is. It's not sticking. I can't remember the name of the helicopter. It's an impressive helicopter. Maybe I'll do a video about it someday. It's not in War Thunder yet, because I don't think it was really meant for tank busting or anything like that. It's just meant for search and rescue or troop drops and evacs and egresses and all that good stuff. So it's not really a tank game kind of helicopter. It's more, and I could be wrong, maybe it's got some tank busting capabilities I'm not aware of, but who knows. I still don't see it ending up in War Thunder anytime soon. They still haven't released the A-10 yet, which again they probably won't do for a while, even though they got the Abrams in. A-10 though, when that thing comes to officially to War Thunder, there's somebody's doing mods for the A-10. I think it's going to dominate War Thunder in the sense of players wanting to use that thing. I could be wrong. It's just like, who couldn't, even if it's not meant to be the best plane in the game, who wouldn't love to play the A-10 Warthog in a tank busting game? Tank fighting game, I should say. I got a really bad habit of pulling these things out of frame. I'm sorry. I was just touching up the glue to make sure the thing's secure where it should be. So the wing doesn't come apart. In fact, see how that's doing. It's holding in there pretty well. Again, I'm going to have to clean up the glue spots on this thing before I start painting. I think you're supposed to sand these anyway. Let's go ahead and clean up. Is my GoPro still recording? Sure is. Go ahead and clean up these exhausts a little bit more. It should probably. It is solid. I didn't even realize that. If you guys see me bleed, you know why. My personal safety isn't always one of my top priorities when I'm doing things like this. And I know my fiance would kill me if she heard me say that, but it's just, as long as it's not going to be life-threatening to me, I'm not super worried about it. So it's just it'll hurt. I'll bleed a little bit. I'll get over it. While we let that wing dry up a little bit, we'll read a little bit more. We're actually... we're going to finish up about one of the other roles of the C-130, and it looks like, yep, we're going to start getting into the gunship. Some stories about it being a gunship, but we'll go ahead and continue with the articles. Is in one of their more surprising roles, the special EC-130E Commando Solo Hercules transmitted radio and TV broadcasts several hours at night over Iraq as part of the psychological warfare campaigns as a prelude to the 1991 Persian Gulf War and 2003 Iraq War, like father, like son. I'm talking about the Bushes. Now we're going to get into the AC-130, which is my favorite variant of the gunship, by far. I mean, who doesn't like big guns flying in the air, blowing things up? But then it goes into today's AC-130. The title of this portion of the article is A Hawk of War, a Dove of Peace. Today's AC-130E HUW Spooky Spectre Stinger gunship is renowned for its ability to protect special operations troops on the ground from Vietnam all the way up to the recent Afghanistan war, with lethal 20 millimeter, 30 millimeter, 40 millimeter cannons, and even a 105 millimeter howitzer. I'm gonna have to show you guys. I'll probably have it pop up somewhere, at least a picture or a video of the shell I have from the 105. This is a 30 millimeter, right? Yeah, 30 millimeter shell right here. This one was fired actually from an AC-130. Let's see. There we go. Fired from an AC-130. How I got it, but I got it. I didn't do anything illegal, don't worry. And then I got also a 40 millimeter somewhere in here with, just found it. It's gonna be harder to get this one into camera because it's a lot larger. I got it in the GoPro. This is a 4 millimeter shell, also fired from an AC-130. Then that's just not without the round, which probably comes out to about here. I'm gonna bother to try to put that on a Logitech, but I'm in love with this aircraft. Needless to say. Where were we? I got so distracted. As well as additional smart bombs and missiles. In fact, one single AC-130 helped stop a southbound Iraqi armored column during the battle of Khafji, Khafji in 1991. But the Herc was also central to rescue missions, whether dramatic hostage situations like the successful 1976 Israeli raid on Entebbe or the failed 1980 Iranian hostage mission, and has saved countless lives on land and at sea with the Coast Guard, breaking more records than the C-130 is also the first fixed-wing aircraft to land at the site of a natural disaster like Hurricane Katrina, Haiti's earthquake, Fukushima, and the recent Peruvian floods. The Hercules even helps make other planes as it served as testbed for what would eventually be the engines of the European Airbus A400M airlifter. A long story short, saying the C-130 is a jack of all trades is selling it short. It really is. You need it, it can do it. It may not be the biggest airframe to do these things, but it can definitely accomplish the mission you want it to do if you just apply it properly, equip it out properly, get the variant you need. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that certain places and countries and agencies have even been still talking to Lockheed about possibly building more variants today as more specialized missions appear around the world, not just for U.S. agency uses, but other country agency uses, because we're not the only country that uses this aircraft, military or otherwise. So I wouldn't be surprised if 70 is not going to be the final number for the C-130 before its life cycle finally ends. So much glue mess. This is probably why people don't use liquid cement. I'm going to put this in here. Unfortunately, it's been a lifelong dream of mine. I don't know if I ever will be able to. I would love to see an AC-130 do a live fire, whether it's in real life or for combat mission or for training purposes. Probably not so much combat purposes, because it means I'm in a bad situation. And as much as I get gung-ho about my job and protecting the country and being in the military, I'm not exactly looking forward to go out there and get myself in a situation that requires the C-130 to come save my life. So, well, maybe be less enthusiastic about that, but I would still love to see like a live fire mission of this thing. That would be fantastic. All right, got that piece in. We'll go ahead and put the second piece in. I know last time I took a little break, but I read that article for a while. So let's go ahead and get to assembling this thing. And then we'll see what's next after we put the exhaust ports in. I think it's putting the wings on. It is. Now the question is, do I want to put the engine pieces on first, then the wings? Let's do the engine pieces first. And then we'll worry about the wings after that. as putting them on the fuselage itself. We're doing pretty good. It's actually only 40 minutes into the video, give or take, because I had a long period of just making sure I got the sound just right, so when I can link up the different clips together without it sounding delayed or super early or anything like that. So I'm pretty excited. I'm finding my groove here, and it's making these things more effective and efficient, and maybe more appealing to people. Okay, there we go. We got the two wings, their exhausts installed. So I can't tell what you guys are looking at, but I know that the GoPro is still recording. One thing I've learned, maybe it's just me, but my Samsung Galaxy S9 does not have good connection with other devices, whether it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I constantly have to reconnect and disconnect and reconnect to finally get it to do what I want it to do. So we're going to go ahead and put these engine pieces on. And I don't know if it matters which goes where. I'm sure it does, but they don't make that very clear. Got the engine pieces out. Those things were a nightmare, mainly because I try to rush through it. But now I'm taking my time because I'm focusing less on the stories. Ooh, I didn't think about that. Is that going to get in the way? Perfect. Okay. What about here? Okay, fine. Excuse me. If I remember correctly, these engines look a little different. And that's the one I cut too much on. Yeah, see? You guys aren't going to be able to tell. But from the front, they look the same. I want to say... Let's see. Just see if they got anything in here. No, then the pictures, when you're putting the engines on the actual wings, they look the same. Despite it look different way. So we'll just go ahead and start putting these bad boys on. I'm going to make sure I'm in frame. You guys can see what I'm doing. And I won't have to focus as much to get these pieces on, because they're not as tiny. And it shouldn't be as difficult to align them properly. I do want to limit the amount of glue that I'm just smearing all over these things so I don't make my paint job look like absolute garbage, like it does on the inside of the cockpit right now. I say that as I just like spread a crap ton of glue onto the engine. Okay, first engine's on. Oh no! That was probably loud. I apologize. Go ahead and hold that for a little bit. Make sure it sets properly. Let's see if we can read a little bit more of the article, and not much because the rest of it's cut off by a stupid ad, and I can't scroll because I'm using both my hands. It says, but one of the important questions remains: what is it like to actually fly the thing? And beside it, they got a picture of the cockpit of a C-130 all lit up in green and stuff. The pilots are decked out in some pretty sweet looking gear. And the caption to the picture, it's from Pinterest, actually. It looks like posted by the U.S. Air Force. It says the C-130H plots course to deliver medical supplies to Sendai, Japan after the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in 2011. I didn't know that's what they were calling it now. Flying low level, going into dirt or grass strips, landing at the places that nobody else could get with this big airplane is so much fun, says the former USAF C-130 pilot and Lockheed Director of Business Development, Larry Gallaghy. I think of all the assault landings I made early in my career, which may not have been as smooth as I would have liked, but the airplane could take a beating. And I got a story about that too, and I'll do that while I start gluing on the other plant and the other engine. When I was in Japan, when I was working maintenance supply liaison MSL, briefing the maintenance group commander on their MICAPs for the C-130, I remember bringing up, oh crap, I should be gluing this part first. Bringing it up to the commander that a number of engine mic caps have like literally jumped to the roof, which I figured he would already know because he's the maintenance group commander and his maintainers would be reporting to him any dire situations as far as maintenance goes for the aircraft. And it was for one particular aircraft, and I was like, what is going on? Like, why on earth am I ordering so many parts and tracking so many parts for what appears to be all 4 engines of the C-130? Come to find out, they had some young pilot who thought he was in Top Gun, but in a cargo plane, and did something. I didn't catch what the maneuver was in the C-130 that probably only fighter pilots should do, and magically over-torqued all 4 engines to the C-130. And apparently that's next to impossible to do. Again, I am not an expert on the C-130. I have never repaired or did maintenance on the C-130. So I'm going off of what I heard, but everybody was just dumbfounded at how this was even possible. And the commander proceeded to ask, is ops dealing with the situation? Why on earth is their pilot destroying my aircraft? Because now his crew has to work long hours to get not 1, not 2, but all 4 engines up and running on the C-130. And I think what happened, because I mean the C-130 can almost do a vertical takeoff. I mean, it's not going to be vertical like an F-15 or F-22, but compared to a larger aircraft, it's fairly vertical, and it can get even more vertical with I think they call scramjet engines. You can see them if you ever seen the Thunderbirds. I mean, not Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels on display, doing their performance. I'm just looking because the engines do look different. I wonder if this was a mistake on their part, and it doesn't make it clear which engine is supposed to go where. But anyway, if you've ever seen the Blue Angels perform, they usually have what's called Fat Albert out there. And that jet is outfitted with scramjets, and it's meant to help it take off from even shorter runways than the C-130 is capable of doing. And it can get pretty vertical with it. And I wonder if basically this pilot decided to try going almost too vertical without said scramjets and over-torqued his engines. That's my guess. They didn't really describe what the pilot did, and if they did, I missed it. They just said, yep, some pilot got overzealous and over-torqued all 4 engines to the C-130. It's also possible, and the reason why they probably didn't get into detail is because it could be whatever mechanic or maintainer. They call maintainers, not really mechanics. I don't know why, but that's just what it is. Maybe somebody in that world can tell me. Maybe the maintainer did not properly service the engines last time they were worked on, and it caused the pilot to have to over-torque to complete something. But I could be wrong. It's just a guess. Actually, if we're going to do this, I'm going to make sure I'm doing it the same way. So you are on. Even these look different. Sorry, I'm going quiet. So I got that one on the inside. I need to take that off, and we're gonna go ahead and redo this. I almost glued the front of the engine. I don't need to do that just yet. Actually, I don't even know if I'm going to need to glue the props on, because I wonder if the props are supposed to be able to spin. And they can't exactly spin if they've been glued on. I'll glue on these things. I'm sorry if it's my webcam is not focusing very well. Maybe I need to probably find another camera to do this. I'm mainly using it because it's easier to see on the screen what I'm doing. Another part of the article, it says more badass planes. And take a beating, it's putting it mightily. In 1971, for example, a ski-equipped Navy LC-130 crashed on takeoff in Antarctica. It lay there buried in an icy crevasse for 17 years before the Navy decided to pull it out and repair the damage. Really? Why did they decide that was even worth it? That sounds like a waste of money, but again, maybe they know something I don't. It took off and flew to New Zealand on January 11th, 1988, the year after I was born. And with a little more work, it served the Navy for several years thereafter. We've been accused of making a pilot's airplane, says Lockheed Martin C-130's chief experimental test pilot, Wayne Roberts. The latest C-130J model upholds the Hercules reputation as a sweet-handling airplane. Roberts adds that the Herc is so flexible it can fly at speeds as low as 80 knots with one engine out. Holy crap. That's impressive. Again, they're not specifying that's with a load or not, but with its digital cockpit, automated flight systems management, 6-blade Dowty propellers, and Rolls-Royce AE 2100 D3 turboprop engines, the latest C-130J/LM100J enjoys 1/3 better range, 15% better fuel efficiency, and 25% more thrust than the legacy A through H models. A few features from a sophisticated heads-up display to optional carbon brakes and upcoming next-gen radar make the C-130 more effective than ever before. I mean, this plane's not going anywhere for a while. It's very clear it's not going anywhere for a while. But I mean, this thing is just so cool. I mean, why wouldn't you love this aircraft? And it sounds like if I do have any pilots watching, if any of them have had the luxury or pleasure of flying this thing, they probably absolutely love it. And I actually would love to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. I've actually never heard a pilot in my career ever complain about the C-130. I hear about them complaining about the C-5s and C-17s all the time, but it's like a bittersweet complaint because their complaint is it breaks down all the time. They break down all the time, but then it always happens to break down conveniently in good places like Hawaii, Italy, Thailand, Australia, New Zealand. So who knows if the C-130 is, maybe the pilots hate it because it doesn't break down, so they can't take the luxury of staying in such nice areas like New Zealand and Hawaii and other fantastic places that normally they wouldn't be able to go. Again, I can't tell what you can see with the GoPro because my stupid phone locked up the display, but this is what it looks like. It's got the wings are assembled. The exhaust ports are on the engines. The engines are in. So I'm pretty excited. We're going to go ahead and attach the wings. It looks like we're going to get into some landing gear soon, which we'll save that for the next episode because I feel like that's going to be a heartache. Maybe even put the window onto the cockpit. My paint job's nasty, messy in there. Maybe we'll touch it up a little bit before I put the window in. But let's go ahead and attach the wings to the fuselage, and we'll put the cockpit window in. And then we'll call it a day. We'll pick up from the article in the next video, and maybe I'll do some research about the TV broadcasting C-130s or any other cool stories about individual C-130s that might have done some amazing. What wing is this before I start putting this on? Okay, that one. Okay, I was right. Start laying in the glue in here. I'm super excited. I'm about to finally put a wing on this thing. I even got thanks to my beautiful fiance. I mean, it's not what it was originally intended for, but I now have a display case for these things when they get completed, and I'll have to show it off once this thing's completed and sitting in its new home. She bought a china cabinet a while ago from a guy whose dad had died because of an issue in a hospital. Unfortunately, it sounds like malpractice from what I can understand, but I mean, people usually, when they're on the receiving end of bad news, tend to exaggerate, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I've heard of horror stories in the medical field of patients being mistreated and dying because of said mistreatment or neglect or whatever. But now that I have a fiance, a beautiful fiance in the medical field, I also get to hear their side of the story and understand why some of these things happen, and then they get accused for something that's not really their fault. But you get a grieving family that doesn't know what to do, and they want answers, and sometimes the quick, easy answer is to blame the provider or the nurse or whoever that was working with their loved one when they passed. So, and I've been accused of that. When my uncle passed away years ago when I was getting ready to leave Japan in 2000, the end of 2008, beginning of 2009. My uncle had passed away during the holiday season, and out of anger, I instantly went to blaming the doctors. Come to find out, after talking to my mom, who was actually there for when it happened, it was actually more of my uncle's fault being stubborn and not going to the doctor as soon as he should have, from what I understand. So, I mean, during my grief, yes, I was angry, taking it on the doctors, but it ended up not really being the doctor's fault. So, anyway, she bought a china cabinet from that person and a whole dining room set. The table is not too bad. I actually don't mind it. I don't like the chairs that come with the table, actually. And I hated. I never said anything because I told her the house is hers to do as she wishes, as long as she leaves my basement and garage alone. She was happy. At least I thought she was happy with it. Come to find out, she was not. So luckily, we're on the same page. But I did not like the china cabinet. So I talked about selling it. She got a brand new one. I'm much happier with it. She's much happier with it. And I was going to sell the old one. She goes, can't we just use this for something else? And I said, sure, why not? And I jokingly said, hey, I could put it in my gaming room and display my models when I complete them. She goes, that's not a bad idea. So now it's in my temporary gaming room until the basement's finished. And it will be displaying these models as I finish them. So I'm excited about that. And I will show it off once the C-130 is. It's going to be pretty empty because, well, it's my first model kit build and it's not finished yet. And when it's finished, it'll be all by itself. Next one, for those of you who are enjoying this. Uh-oh. Okay. And the next one is going to be a M4 Sherman Jumbo. Super excited about that. I love the Jumbo tank. I love Shermans in general. They're beautiful tanks. Maybe ugly and simplistic to some of you, but absolutely love them things. They're beautiful in my eyes. Look at that, guys. It's looking more like a plane. I'm getting really excited about this. This is my first model kit that I didn't get angry at and destroy and then move on and not finish it. I don't even know what happened to that. Actually, the last one I tried was also a C-130. And I think it was because of the same reason, because I'm trying to build models of planes that I worked on growing up, or not really worked on, but supported in my military career. The tail wings, or whatever these are called. Somebody, I'm sure, is going to correct me. That is actually into aircraft, like that's their career. Don't need to be assembled; they just need to be cut free and then glued in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll go ahead and finish up the video and get ready for the next one, which is we don't have a whole lot more to do before we get into painting. So I'm curious. I'm going to do some research on the proper ways to paint a model kit. Probably should have done that before painting the cockpit, but again, the cockpit wasn't that important to me, even though it probably should be, but I'm still learning. Is this the right side? If I go that way. Wait, let me study these things. Okay, so that looks like it's supposed to be the top, which means this is going to go over here. Okay, so this is for this wing, and this would be for that wing, or that side, after I flip it over. There we go. But as I get into this, I'll be more careful with my detail. I'm not going to do any like weathering to this thing. If it was a gunship, maybe I can treat it like it was actually in combat. So I'm just going to paint this like this is a brand new plane off the assembly line. Crap, I didn't paint the inside for, or glue the inside for. Yep, the groove is supposed to be on the top, which means I have this on the wrong side. So let me flip this whole thing around. So I'm just going to paint this like this is a fresh off the assembly line, or a aircraft that the bigwigs would want to put on display for any VPs that come visit their manufacturing plant or base, or just to be like, hey, look at this, look at our amazing aircraft and look how pretty it is. No, they don't all look like this because they all look like actual working functioning aircraft. But anyway, so we're just going to treat this like it's a display model, which, I mean, a model kit technically is a display model, but you know what I mean. I'll get that all glued up. Go ahead and slide. Crap. There we go. Gotta be careful with this. There There we go. That's in there. Go ahead and get the other side done. We're still under an hour. The video is going to be an hour, but it is what it is. Glue the inside here. But if you guys are enjoying this, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you got any suggestions, if you think I should cut these up into 30-minute long videos, just let me know. If you enjoyed the length, that's fine with me. I'm mainly doing it this long because it lets me accomplish more with the aircraft while talking about said aircraft, and it allows me to talk about myself a little bit and give you some backstory behind the guy you watch on Twitch or YouTube or both, or even in now my friend Mind Killers and I's new podcast series, Not the Worst Podcast. Check it out on Spotify. I think that's the only place it is for now. We do plan to put it on like iTunes and stuff, but as he explained to me last night, it takes a little bit for them to get posted on those platforms, so they're not quite ready to be on there. Look at that. I am so happy. And maybe some of you are like, why is this guy getting so excited about a model kit? Well, because again, I've never been able to do this before, because I have when I was younger. I mean, I still don't really have a whole lot of patience, but I had absolutely zero patience when I was younger. I really hope the GoPro is picking this up better than the webcam. But yeah, there it is, guys. It's the C-130 J30 with its wings and nacelles. Oh, wait, you know what? No. I'm a minute over an hour, but let's go ahead and install the cockpit. Yeah, let's go ahead and install the cockpit. You know what? Let's not. We'll paint this thing first, and then we're going to go ahead and install the cockpit. I am not gonna risk painting over the cockpit because I can see me doing just that. So we'll go and set this down. I thank you guys for coming along into this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Follow me on Twitter to know when these videos will be posted, and the goal is to post these every Mondays, to do model Mondays, so hopefully you guys can check those out. Where is that? I mean, then one of the next pieces is a tail. See, I'm getting so excited about this. I just want to keep going, but the video needs to end. If I can find this piece quickly, I'm going to install it. It's for the rear of the aircraft. What number was it? 16? It's not on here. It's going to be in a bag that's sealed, isn't it? What the heck are those? Oh, no. Was there different engine types? Or are these spare parts? Did I get spare parts? Looks like, oh, there it is. I just found more engine nacelles. I don't know where they came from. Did I just mess this up? I am almost positive I did. I got two different type of engines on the same plane. Oh well. That's what I get for not paying 100% attention to the instructions like you're supposed to do as a good boy. So now we got two different model, I'm assuming two different model engines on there. I just found another set. This is the little tail stub, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on. So this video is going to go a little longer than normal. Let me see if there's a special way. It looks the same on both sides. So it just slides right into here. So we'll go ahead and glue the back end first. And then we'll go ahead and glue the tail piece. The tail stub. Not entirely sure why it wasn't just part of the fuselage to begin with. Maybe they just want you... Oh, wait, no? Maybe it would have been too difficult, but anyway. Maybe they just want to put it on for the sake for allowing somebody to put it on. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize to any C-130 enthusiasts or model kit enthusiasts now that I've admitted my blunder with installing apparently two different types of engines on one aircraft. I didn't realize there was another bag of pieces that of engine parts in it. Had more similar styled. Did I just break that? Okay. The little tail stub on there. Little stubby. Look at that thing. It's so adorable. But there we go. The C-130J30 looking more like an airplane and less like a pile of junk. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Let me know what you think down below.